Jays fans, and welcome to Jays Latest. I'm your host, Craig Borden, and we're here to talk all things Toronto Blue Jays as usual. So we're going to have some fun and we'll talk some wonderful things that have happened over the last couple of days. Not so much Blue Jays related, but maybe they become Blue Jay related. So, on that note, let's talk what has been going on in baseball because we do have this wonderful thing that's been kind of looming over the last few days, and that is the Toronto Blue Jays and all other Major League Baseball teams had to decide who they were going to tender, and meaning they're going to keep on their team. So, when teams get a player, especially if they're on the younger side and they've never been in the majors before, are usually the two determining factors. If you don't have MLB service time, you don't start that clock. So the team has control over your contract. So kind of rights to drafting somebody. So the Blue Jays had a wonderful gang of guys that were going to be potentially exposed to Major League Baseball free agency if the Blue Jays did not, quote unquote, tender their contracts. The Blue Jays decided to tender all four of the major Blue Jays that could have been. And now those are Dalton Varsho, Ernie Clement, Eric Lauer, and Tyler Heineman are under team control. And we are going to negotiate some kind of a contract with all four of them. So that's the point. The Blue Jays said that they're going to figure this out. They are staying as part of the team. They are still under our team's 40-man roster control. What happens otherwise is they become free agents, and that's what we're going to talk to here in just a minute. But the Blue Jays obviously are wanting to make sure they keep this core together as much as humanly possible. And right now, Eric Lauer is projected to be in the starting rotation. You have our everyday center fielder in Dalton Varsho, our probably everyday third or second baseman in Ernie Clement, and probably, at least looking at the pieces of paper last year, the best backup catcher in all of Major League Baseball. So there is that. Those are four guys you want to make sure you keep on your team. Are they going to be a little bit more expensive because they're due arbitration this year? Yes. So the Blue Jays are next steps on that whole thing are to actually get them contracts, whether it's an arbitration hearing, which I hope it's not with any of those because they all deserve a raise. Toronto Blue Jays will be negotiating that and hopefully getting that ironed out before any arbitration hearing stuff has to be heard. So, and that's where the next step is if the two player and the organization do not agree on a number, that can go to an arbitration hearing, and that third party baseball person will decide if it's the Blue Jays number for the contract or the player's number for that contract. So you might be asking who, because of that, who got free, who is around, who all of a sudden is a Major League Baseball free agent. And there's some big names here as far as guys I was surprised it peaked the way it is. And the Texas Rangers, oh my God, what's going on? I can see why they wouldn't want to pay a giant pile of money to some of these guys because of off years last year. But these are guys that had them in the World Series and won it 2 years ago. So, first one on that list is Dolis Garcia, MJ Melendez, Evan Phillips, Jonah Heim, and Nathaniel Lowe, Alek Manoah, who we're going to talk about, Christopher Morel, JJ Bleday, Ramon Uriah, Michael Talkman, Mark Leiter Jr., Jake Fraley, and there's plenty of others, but those are the main names that obviously will be potentially used or will potentially be signed elsewhere. Well, I want to talk Alek Manoah again because the Blue Jays lost him in a waiver claim to former general manager Alex Anthopoulos last season to the Braves, and he was in their system. Clearly, they are not thinking he's going to bounce back. Doesn't have something going on right, or maybe they just didn't have enough time to really evaluate them and took a chance on a 40-man roster spot when they were so rough last year, the Atlanta Braves. So Alek Manoah is technically a Major League Baseball free agent. He will be able to sign with any club, and honestly, I still wonder if a minor league deal would be a great thing for the Blue Jays for him. I still just cannot believe the downturn. If he's healthy, I think it's worth a shot. He's got to put up or shut up, basically, anyway. So, but a guy that finished nearly in the Cy Young awarding that 1 year, all-star, just insanely good. Some of these other ones that are on this whole thing, you're not going to go after catcher Jonah Heim, but MJ Melendez might be a really fun one. Plays outfield and can be a catcher. Evan Phillips is one that really stood out to me. He had rotator cuff surgery, and really slowed his season down. He's going to be a free agent probably for a long time, but he's bouncing back from Tommy John surgery. So maybe there's some little mid-season pickup there because he's probably going to be a free agent until he can show he's healthy. And then just former Rangers. Nathaniel Lowe was one of them. He's going to be a free agent. The Red Sox let him go. Christopher Morel was a nice one. I do think he's still got a lot more talent than his recent history has shown. 2000 in 2023, he had 26 home runs. So there's some pop in that bat for Christopher Morel. JJ Bleday, another one that has another outfielder. I just really think has great things going on that could be a great piece for the Blue Jays. So, but I want to focus in on Adolis Garcia here. The Blue Jays tried to get him at the trade deadline last year. So is there something here to the point that they can bring him in? Because not even 2 years ago, 2022, 2023, this guy was a perennial home run and RBI machine. Back-to-back seasons with basically 30 home runs and 100 RBIs. Strikes out a lot, doesn't walk much. But you got a guy that could be batting at the bottom of the order and driving in runs. That's a win. Meanwhile, last year, still had 19 home runs, 75 RBIs, batted .227, and basically didn't walk. Well, he got 135 strikeouts. If he played the whole season last year, I think he would have eclipsed his strikeout number. This is a guy that's almost struck out 200 times in those 2 seasons I mentioned before. So is there some swing and miss there? Yeah, but the ability for him to just run into one and be a postseason MVP, we saw what he can do when he gets hot. So I don't know. I just think it was one of those things that if the Blue Jays were already knocking on the door last offseason, maybe there's something regular in the offseason now. So we'll see what happens. But Toronto Blue Jays fans looking for that next piece on what's going to help this team. Maybe Adolis Garcia is one of those ones that jumps into this because he's now a free agent and can actually talk to the Blue Jays directly. I do like the idea of Christopher Morel too, but that will obviously change and shift things around in this roster. And obviously the big reach is grab Kyle Tucker in any big free agent you can. But these are some nice fallback plans that will take a long time, I think, to sign. So we'll see what happens, Blue Jays fans. Thank you very much for listening. Make sure you hit those like, share, subscribe buttons. Drop us some comments. We'll talk to them on the show. And I hope you have a great day. And go Blue Jays as always.